Hi, Chloe.
Good morning, Angela. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. Haven't been sleeping well because of the season change, but apart from that, I'm okay. Yes, I'm all good.
So, do
And
you follow any sleep routine or?
I try to, because this sort of like what do they call it? Sleep hygiene. You know, the how you set yourself up before you go to sleep. You know, dim the lights but then you do all of that and you go in the bathroom and it's a bright light and it wakes you up again and you go to bed. So yeah, need to do
Yeah,
something about the bathroom lighting, perhaps.
yeah,
But yeah, and I've got one of these sunrise clocks, which is really good actually. It's very gradual, and the standard setting is half an hour before you want to get up, and it does really help. But I'm just waking up in the night. It's just a pattern. But yeah, all good other than that. So
good.
have you been okay at uni? Is it going well?
Yeah, well, our uni finishes on the 18th. We have to hand in our next module, which is reading architecture. So it's about the materials, the engineering. We're doing thermodynamics as well and physics. So it's full
Wow.
on, full on
So
now.
you've gone from the creative bit right into the science.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
And does
Absolutely love
that
it.
piece of work, is that something you hand in before you break up or when you get back?
On the 18th, hand it in. Um,
Oh,
so we've got ground plans, linkage plans, we've got landscape plans, we've got um, axometric drawings, we've got we've got to do infographics on materials. I had a phenomenal lecture with Duncan Baker Brown, so I get him money on every conversation.
uh, oh, well done you. It sounds like a really steep learning curve. It sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
no, it's brilliant. So we're going to talk about, I'm really interested that you're so different you're not just a conventional interior designer, are you?
No, and
I
I
don't think
thought,
so.
oh, well, it's funny how things evolve and the reasons, but you know, this whole thing about niching your business has been something that I've heard a lot during my career, and you know, it has happened for me now, but in a natural way. I've kind of gravitated to it rather than it be a big business decision. You know, you hear about it being spoken about, and it's sort of like a tactical thing. But I think both of us we have niched our business, but
Absolutely.
it's
Was
been
yours a
through.
was yours a gradual move over, or did you actually sit down and think, I'm going to change my business?
I So the background, so you know, the working at Body Shop, it was my second proper job from uni, and for that long amount of time. So that way of working, sustainable, vegan, was always in my background, but I kind of didn't shout about it after leaving Body Shop and setting up my company. But then when I took the vegan design course, I realised I was the first first UK designer to take it. That I felt like I really needed to talk about it to pave the way for other people coming through, really. So I kind of started to shout about it all then. But yeah, it's kind of how it came through.
Do you think you're getting more recognised now because of COVID and the emergency of the environment? Because that's certainly one of the choices that's made me specialise in what I do.
That's it.
Yeah,
Well, I like, you know, you hear the things that you're receptive to, but you know, this place of sustainability and well-being, I just think it is our way out of this. You know, designing spaces that have got these value added. You know, they haven't been harmful to create, and they aren't harmful for their lifespan as well. So yeah, I feel very much that's where I am, and it's lovely to hear that being reconfirmed to me from the Decorex talks and all of that. So yeah, I mean, it's lovely. We're in this position of adding value, and and making spaces more meaningful for people, more useful.
So do you think that, how do you see it different to another interior designer? Is there such a thing as a normal interior designer now?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're not generalists so much now, are we? We have both been vocal about our specialisms. I think it definitely, there's no way I would have been interviewed by that Irish radio station recently. They heard about me because of the Great Indoors podcast, and they loved hearing about vegan design. They said it was something that wasn't spoken about much in Ireland, and so I was interviewed on that radio station. It really struck me as I was sort of getting ready for it. There's no way that a general interior designer from Brighton would have been asked to speak on a radio station. It's kind of, you do broaden your reach by having a specialism.
So do you find that you lead with that with your clients? Do they come to you for that reason, or is it something that is it natural progress? How do other people design in that way?
I do lead with it, but this whole thing about the vegan words being quite confusing when it comes to materials, and then as soon as you start to explain it, it's apparent and people understand. It feels like, the sustainability is something that I just really want to do for my clients as a kind of, they don't come to me always because of it. They come to me just because they've heard of me, but it's something that people are very receptive to, especially now. How about you and your clients? Is it the same thing for you? Are you having to...
I think my clients have grown with me as I've grown. So my knowledge 20 years ago wasn't the same as my knowledge is now. You pay and you get 20 years experience, and that's the difference. I think that, I'm loving, the reason I went back to university, is to learn it's the new way of design. It's going to be the only way we design. And Brighton University is very much at the forefront of it, because we're lucky enough to have Duncan Baker Brown, who I mention every single time we talk. So the lecture we've just had from him was about site-based materials. So you're looking at, he's got, so he owns a practice called BBM Architecture and Architects. And so they look at the site, they'll dig up some chalk and make that into internal plasters. They'll look at literally what's around them. And they use a company called Local Works, who are based in Barkham. For this particular project he was discussing. And so it's very much, another project he's working on in the restaurant, they use oysters, so he's using the oyster shells as an aggregate as well. So
yeah, sounds so good.
And very much...
Is that going to influence you a lot in your work now?
It already has. I've cleared my room. I've got a warehouse and a studio here, so I'm very lucky. I've cleared all the rooms out of traditional pattern books that don't follow such green guidelines. And so I'm going to be looking for local craftspeople. So do be in touch. Local ways of doing things. I don't want things.
Traditional methods.
Traditional methods. So I've got a project down the road, and we're using really interesting materials, so I'm going to really love showing you that when that's done.
Brilliant. When that's done, will you do us a little case study for it on this?
Yeah, I can present it on here or something if you want to see it.
Oh, that'd be great.
And I've just won a Sussex Heritage Trust Awards for 2020.
Oh, have you? That's brilliant.
So I worked for a developer, River Oaks Homes, and we worked on a project. Sorry, I'm talking too much again, Chloe.
No, you're not. This is so interesting.
I worked on a project in Hove. The developers came to me and they had a SIP structure, which you obviously know what a SIP structure is. It's
I don't.
Okay, basically a steel framed extension onto a
Right, yeah.
listed building.
Yeah.
So it was a very modern extension onto the existing building. And the trouble is they said to me, okay, this apartment is going to be really hard to sell because it's disjointed from the rest. So the project was called Wilbury Road. I think it was 36
Yeah.
Wilbury Road, Wilbury Grove.
Yeah, so it's a conservation area.
Yeah.
Probably.
So again, with biophilic design, you look at the project's intent straight at the start. So I decided to look at the history. So we got a local property historian called Sarah Van Luke to write a history of the property. And we uncovered that it was an old livery stables for the nearby wealthy houses in Wilbury Road and things like that. So
yes, so it would have been part of the Brunswick town estate, because that was built as a mini town, Brunswick, and that would have been serving that area.
So in my first meeting, I said, okay, from this day forward, I think we need to call this development the stables. So all of it was from the history that we uncovered. So I said, okay, let's call it the stables. We had the branding done for the stables and every single thing. So we had big arched windows. I will share this on my Instagram as well at some point.
Lovely.
Big arched windows at the front, the architectural features. So I replicated those with big arched mirrors inside. Lots of stud work on the upholstery, filament lights. So it didn't look like a bad sports bar, but it had the detailing of stables.
It didn't look grafted on.
No, so the thing Sussex Heritage said was the attention to detail was great. And they all sold full asking price straight away. So,
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so it proves that if developers actually create a story and a way, a sense of being, and they shouldn't be just putting rubbish in that they say, oh, the person's just going to rip it out anyway. That's not true. People want long-lasting things, and they want to buy developments like that as well. So
it's you're doing the right thing by the building as well as by the client and then the end user. It sounds a really good methodology, and it's probably one that we do subconsciously, but having that anchor, the reason, not just
the reason I got a history. The reason I got a history is because in the skip outside was a 6 foot ledge and brace door. So I said, okay, bring that out. And if you notice my Instagram, I have a lot of sliding barn doors. That all came from the stables development. So I painted it black. I got them to paint it black, Mylands Downing Street black, to be precise. We put it on runners, and then the sliding barn doors again felt like the stables. So again,
this is where you saw that skip before it was emptied.
Yeah, and that's what gave me the whole thing. So sometimes it's about opening your eyes, and I think that's what a niche gives you, is you look at what's around you rather than just ordering things. So, and
because you kind of set your stall in that way, it doesn't bother other people involved, because they know that that's your reason for your operating way of operating, so you haven't got to explain everything all the time. They know that bits of this might come out, and this is. So do you feel that it's just an extension of your core values? I do really, because I was sort of starting to get a bit of eco-anxiety, if you want to label that sort of thing. I was getting concerned about the world, and kind of part of it is just like, well, just do what you can in your remit. And actually I felt hugely better for marrying my own values up with my companies. It's actually done a huge amount for my well-being. I feel much better for it. Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing to say, because your business shouldn't be disjointed to the way you are and your values as a person. And I don't work for horrible people. Go away. Don't even bother coming to talk to me. People who can't see the value in the earth, our planet, in things.
there's plenty of designers who will go that route, but that's not me. You know, that's fine.
We've sort of both kind of, I don't know about you, but even through school and education, I've kind of always stuck to the things that I've loved. And that's something my parents have always really encouraged. Keep going for the area that you love. And then, you know, you find yourself in this position and, you know, and it just keeps going. You know, I don't have to turn away clients because they're all, you know, they're all gravitating to me because I don't know, it kind of all, it works out really well.
What's your favourite sort of project? What would be your ideal project? Not the
well,
thing.
today I'm going to do a 2-hour consultation for somebody who I would say is my ideal client, really. So an older couple, empty nesters. They've been through this process before and done things themselves, and they value outside help. They have a green business. This is how I've got to know about them because you know, we've been on various things together and learnt together, and yeah, they value outside help, really. It's when you're going to see people who don't really know much about interior design, haven't got very much money to spend, it's just really a hard sell sometimes, and you can get very much faster into the nitty-gritty of helping them when it's all set up well, you know.
So what aspect of interior design do you love the most? Is it the colours? Is it the architecture? Is it, you know?
I really like the history. I really, you know, I love to find out about the history of a building and the age, you know, and try and be in sympathy with it, but also mix it with a bit of modern as well. I like to do that. But obviously listening to the client and their brief. But I do really love the specifying, the drawing, you know. I kind of like getting into the detail and just making sure that that's executed well. How about you?
My ideal clients, I kind of had, like you, lucky enough to have ideal clients. So a lot of my clients I keep for 15 years plus. I've had through different houses, different projects they've done. And what that gives us is mutual respect. So they trust me to do my job. So they trust me to manage it. They trust me to design it. So
it's great, isn't it? Because you get into it so much faster when they know you, you know them, they know how you work.
So even when they purchased a new house for about 5 years ago now, they took me around to see it before they even purchased it.
Well, that's a sensible thing to do.
Because they knew how much work needed to be done. So I did the architecture as well. So we designed it from the inside outwards. So architecture now should be more about adding on rather than knocking down and rebuilding.
Oh, absolutely.
So look for the way it's orientated, the things you can change and add to it, rather than knocking down isn't always the first option.
No, it shouldn't be.
And reuse things as well. So, which is why I love being at Brighton as well, Brighton Uni, you know, the things we're learning. So they're trying to set up like resource banks for materials. So, so if you have a building site, you can say, okay, I've got 1,000 bricks. You know, some places I heard cutting them up into panels and doing really lovely patchwork effects on it. You know, there's a architect in India, and I'm going to get her name completely wrong, Anupama Kundo, and so she's done a house called the Wall House in India, in her hometown in India, where she's used all local craftspeople. So the load-bearing arch in her interior, she's made out of plant pots that all fit into each other to create the load. It's really interesting. And that's the type of design I love and I want to do more of.
Do you think when you're more limited in your palette to use, sometimes it brings out more creativity? You know,
I think as a designer, you have to work harder to do that, you know, but then that's why 20 years on, I wanted to go back and learn the new way of doing it, because you get a bit stale. And it's, like I said last time, all the time before, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You do what you know is going to work, and you kind of the books are sitting there and you use those. Whereas
Yeah,
actually now I'm looking in a whole new way, and it's taken me a lot longer to design it that way, but the outcome is phenomenal. So
you're very much tuning in. It's a tuning into the client, the building, everything.
yeah,
And I bet you feel better for working in that more sort of whole, authentic way.
I think that's experience, don't you find? Like we're both 20 years in, so roughly. I'm 21
I'm
years next year.
I'm 27 years in. I think.
With your business.
Yeah, 15
Yeah,
for my
yeah,
business. Yeah,
yeah. So that gives you the experience. So you're not grabbing any work you can get. You're not desperate for doing things because you realise your name's attached to that, and
yeah,
your name is really important. And if they don't share your values and going to input your design, well, they're not getting the best for them, and you're not getting the best for you. So they're best to go and look for someone else.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're certainly not generalists anymore. You know, I
No.
might, I I might be able to do lots of different areas of a building, but I'm very happy to get the specialists to come in and do the kitchen, the bathroom. You know, not claim to be an expert of everything, but I can oversee and sort of do it in a sustainable way. You know, and I think
So
you feel like that as well, don't you? We kind of you. I think you can be so going back to the niche thing. So when I first heard about niching, it was from the podcast, which I've absolutely been in love with for 3.5 years since I started listening, which is A Well-Designed Business. And it's by a lady called Luann Nagara, who is really brilliant. She's very much looking at the running of an interior design business. I really
what's that
recommend you
called? I'm going
listen.
to write that down.
A Well-Designed Business.
Oh,
And
well done.
she's 600 episodes in now, and it's brilliant. And I've been listening for years, and I've had coaching from her. She's been really good. But one of her regular guests is a lady called Nancy Gantz-Kaufer, and she talks about
That's a
niching.
name.
I know, yes, I know, I've learned to say it, but she's also lovely, and I've had coaching from them both, and they've been really helpful. But the thing that she says is, so they call it niching in America, but she says niching is rich and broad is broke. So, like, you know, if you say you can do everything, you can't, because there's, you know, you can't be an expert
No.
of everything. So just to say out loud what your niche is, and just you know, you are zoning in and going you're attracting the right clients. You're saying out loud to the universe as well what you want. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. It really does. And you can get stuck in a niche that you not particularly didn't really mean to. You know, I loved
You
doing
get
my
stuck in
dentistry.
life, can't you, really?
Yeah, I got stuck. I mean, I enjoyed doing the projects, but I did work for dentists and dental practices for a long time. They just kept recommending me to each other, and you keep doing another one. And, you know, and I was thinking, I don't really want to be known just for doing this, you know, and that's part, that all kind of collided with my study and kind of talking out loud more about sustainability and vegan design. So, yeah, that was a bit of a realization. So I think it's a good thing to sort of, but I would encourage other designers to really follow their heart of what they enjoy and kind of be a bit more vocal about, you know, because you will attract those like-minded clients.
And
Then.
don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say, actually, this isn't the project for me,
Yeah,
and that's not what I do, or what's going to benefit you. Then
yeah, we're not a
and
good
everyone
fit.
wins.
Yeah, it's no good, you know, taking on a client that you know you're just not going to tune into their way of living or their choices, and you know it's not going to go well as a project. Really, it's better if you can get the like-minded
So,
ones.
yeah, I mean, how do you deal with people who are couples, for instance, who have different tastes? Or
It's hard, isn't it? Because often the reason you're there is because they can't agree. So you kind of sometimes feel a bit like you're walking into the middle of a boxing ring. I don't know if you felt like that, but especially with 2-hour consultations, it's kind of it can be a little bit of a boxing ring. But sometimes you're helping the quieter of the couple to get their voice out and their ideas out, because the more dominant one, it isn't always the man. It's kind of, right, this, I really think we should do this. But just you being there, is you're being a bit of a referee and allowing everybody to talk equally.
I mean, I do the same, but I do it through a questionnaire. So I'll sit there and I'll have it typed out so then they know what we've discussed. But the questions will be things that I've noticed and little things that I bring into it. So then they both feel that, my late mother's curtains, I had that in the project. That man, the man really loved these curtains. So to me, that was the base.
Charged as well.
And so that was really important that I considered that at the forefront of the design. So, but there's lots of things like that. I kind of look at things like, problem solving. That's what I like to go in and say that I do, is I solve problems architecturally, design ways, the way people live, and more so because of biophilic design, is what you're trying to feel like. Are you trying to feel more stimulated and more energized? Or are you trying to feel more relaxed and like your stress is lowering? Are you trying to, what is lacking that you need to fulfill in that space? So and that's where I go with that.
Oh, brilliant. So I've been with husbands, I've only had one example where I took the side of one of them, and the other one really took offence, and I didn't show it in front of them, but when I got back in the car I was burst into tears, because sometimes one of them is right, there is a right and a wrong, sometimes neither of them are right, and you can bring your bit into it, but it is tricky when you have to agree with one. It's
I think that's experience as well now, because I've been in horrible situations where there's been bullies, both male and female bullies in a situation, and you kind of learn to, I now just walk away. So and until they can sort of learn to talk properly, and people don't want to air their dirty laundry with the designer either. It's almost like they've crossed the line. So it's like, so.
I always worry that I don't want it to end up being a compromise, and nobody feeling very happy with the end result. Sometimes I feel like you kind of have to give one space to one strong idea and another look, kind of follow one person's wish for one room and another person's wish for another, rather than having a mishmash of compromise everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
See, I'm really bad. I've usually designed the space as soon as I've walked in there. I've looked around, I've designed it, I've listened really carefully to what they're both saying to me, or if it's a residential project, that is. And then the rest of the time I'm going through the process. Because I don't know them, I can't just say, okay, let me just get on with it.
Well, the space starts to talk to you then. You listen. Obviously, there's a lot of listening to do, but there's a lot of listening to the space, and going back to this tuning in of the space that you were talking about earlier. What is the right thing to do by the building, the position of it. So that does come into it, and when you can present things back in a kind of scientific way, this is good for the space because of this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what biophilic design is a framework of research and recommendations based on science and what works.
So it's actually a really useful tool then in that sort of situation, because both people are then listening to that and understanding that kind of. So it's quite, I imagine it's very hard to brief in an interior designer, especially if you're disagreeing. but then when you have this other hugely added value, this great tool to offer, then that kind of, that helps to educate everyone, and
How would you
ends up.
say to choose an interior designer? I mean, obviously we've got the accredited,
Yeah,
they've become accredited, but how would you go about choosing one? If you were to get one to design your house?
you really have got to. It's the same with tradespeople as well. You have got to go with your gut feel, and have recommendations from people. Read up any reviews, things like that. But it does come down to feeling listened to. I think there's nothing more important than feeling listened to as a client. You don't want to steamroller people, but yeah, I kind of take time to sort of talk and research about the person, and feel, what do you feel when you read their website, and meeting them. Definitely, spend
I
time
agree.
and effort.
I think it's such a long process usually that you're with a client, and so you get to know them, their families. The clients I've had for 15 odd years, I've seen all of their sons grow up from like little boys to men now, and it's great. So the space is growing with them, the time's going, so it's hard not to get attached as well. But it is. I think you've got to feel that person gets you and your family, or understands what you want to achieve, because you're with them for such a long time. You can't not like somebody if they're in your house.
And they're not
every
a
day.
product. It's not, you're not delivering a product, and you just really care about them and their space and how their space is evolving. And it's kind of, it's not all about the kind of going out there and getting work.
No, I think money's, I know that it's the same for you. Money is the last of my my criteria of working. I mean, obviously money is important because I've got a university to pay for.
Yes, yes.
But it's making a difference, and I want to make a difference to the way people live, work, and to society in general. And the way to do that is, by changing individuals' lives. And people are happier and better if they've got a nicer space to go back to. If you've got mental illness and things like that, there's nothing worse than not having a shelter or a home.
No, I definitely feel we are adding value and helping people. And I mean, we've got to have money to run and everything, and got to charge properly, but at the same time, I want to make enough time in my week to be able to do other things other than clients' projects. And recently I've been involved with the, for the whole of this year, I've been on the the Professional Practice Committee for the BIID. And because they want to bring in sustainability for their members. So we're working on a big education piece, a big kind of introduction to it all. Because it's quite, for those designers that haven't got any background, it's a scary area to step into, and we all know that we need to do more, and everybody that I speak to wants to know more, but it's a bit scary. So I think it's going to be in the spring that we're going to be supporting. So I've been helping write a specifying guide and things like that, which members.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so for me, that I feel rich in that opportunity of being able to share my learnings, and I'm learning more myself. It's always more to learn, but so kind of being able to make some time in my week that I can devote to doing things like that, helping students with their dissertations, and I get quite a lot of queries from people. So those are the things that make me feel good, more than kind of money in the bank.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, my studio here, I'm sharing it half the week with my son and his girlfriend.
Oh, are you?
So Teddy is just doing his master's in applied computational science, something. Wow. Imperial. and he's looking for jobs currently. But because Imperial, his course he's not going in, so he's coming here to do all of his coursework. And his girlfriend's the same.
What does that entail? Do they need to? Is that more than a computer space? Are they doing what are they doing?
Oh, so Teddy's got an engineering degree. So he got a first, which is good. So his is a lot of fluid dynamics, physics, computational applied mathematics is, I think, algorithms. I don't know. Anyway.
Cool. I just got a vision of a big blackboard and loads of formula all over it. Well, there you are. Oh, brilliant. Well, yeah, you need space to do that sort of thing. Oh,
yeah,
good for him.
absolutely.
Oh, that's nice that you can share your space to do that.
Yeah, so I haven't got a lot of extra time, what with the kids and everything, and uni and things. But yeah.
No, I don't suppose you have. Well, I'm still in awe, but well done. I'm
No, but I'm doing a talk in February to Brighton Metropolitan College to interior designers there.
Oh, are you?
And I've been asked to work on a charity doing craft and arts for 14 to 16-year-olds as well. So.
Oh, that's lovely.
So I've got to fit that in as well.
Oh, Angela. Oh, well done. No, it's good.
Right.
These are the things that we enjoy doing. It's good.
Yeah. So we're at our time again.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of a year, and it's been a really hard year this year. 2021. What do you want your business materialize? Sorry. Where do you want it to be in 2021?
You see, it's funny this whole saying your company name, because it's me, isn't it? It's and I've been bringing more. Where do you want
Chloe Bullock to be in 2021?
Well, I'm looking back at the year, which obviously has been a horrible year and hellish and awful for everyone and people, and especially it's been awful. But I have had nice successes. Getting this word out more, really influencing my industry, which I just really want to keep doing. Yeah, more of what I've been able to achieve this year, which is outside of working and earning a living, the whole influence. I want to keep going on with that.
Yeah.
And how about you? Have you got something?
So again, going back to university, I've now kind of put myself up for 14-hour days. It's continuous. But the reason is I want to grow and I want to learn and I want to do a new way of design and a new way of being. So I want to affect change. And the way I'm going to do that is through research, recommendations, working with people to show them how to input biophilic design. And then I'm obviously at university learning all these incredible new ways of building buildings and structures and spaces, and that will influence the way I work as well. So who knows? So
you're surging on with your learning and you're influencing as you go. It's brilliant. So
yeah.
I need to think about some more learning probably. But doing this One Planet Living plan for my business is a lovely exercise to do, kind of, how I work and what I do. So kind of more development, more growth.
And also it was my big birthday in March and I haven't had really a chance to celebrate it. So I'm going to decide that I'm a year younger until next March and hopefully celebrate it.
And my big birthday was August as well. So equally,
You're 21 as well.
Yes. So we need to, have that birthday again, don't we, next year? Make sure that we could do that.
Yeah, it's been hard for people. Right, so another time. So I'll see you in another 2 weeks.
Yes, so that's just before Christmas. So yeah, all right, then we'll work out what to talk about.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Angela. It's really lovely to see you. Take care.